Do you believe that your life is within your personal control, or you believe that it is not within your own control? Do you believe that the outcomes of your life are dependent on what you do, or what you do, the decisions you make don't really matter? Other factors beyond you control the outcomes of your life. Do you believe that getting opportunities of progress in life are dependent on chance or luck or some divine intervention, or it depends on your work input and being in the right place at the right time? The answer you give to these questions give us an understanding or indication of what we call your locus of control. And the locus of control is a concept or construct in psychology developed or introduced by a psychologist called Julian Rotter in the 1950s. And this construct helps us to understand the underlying factors which determine people's belief on how much control they have over their life and the circumstances or conditions of their life. So the extent to which individuals believe they control events and outcomes in their life is what we describe as their locus of control. And the APA Dictionary of Psychology describes it as a construct that is used to categorize people's basic motivational orientations and perceptions of how much control they have over the conditions of their lives. So whether you believe that the outcomes of your life, in terms of your work, in terms of your academics, in terms of your family, marriage, is dependent on your own inputs and what you do, or you believe that it is dependent on other people, including your partner, including your teachers, a higher authority, whether it's spiritual or social, in nature. Whichever position you have is a reflection of your locus of control. And this locus of control is divided into two. We have what we call the internal locus of control and the external locus of control. Individuals that have high internal locus of control are often referred to as internals, and those with a high external locus of control are often referred to as the externals. So in this particular lesson, we'll look at what the characteristics of these internals are and those that are also considered externals, and how at the end of the day you may be able to help move your internal locus of control much higher, because it is a better or more helpful locus of control to have. Now, internal locus of control, individuals with this believe that they have a significant influence. So it may not be total control or influence, but they believe that they have a significant influence on events and circumstances of their lives. So the outcomes of their lives, they attribute it to their own abilities, their own decisions, their own efforts, and their own actions and inactions thereon. And so individuals that have high internal locus of control are more likely to take personal responsibility for outcomes of their life and events that happen to them, and take the necessary proactive steps to correct them or improve certain dreams, certain areas of their lives that they want to improve. Now, notice I'm saying high internal locus of control, because when we talk about individuals' locus of control, one thing is that we find ourselves on a continuum, meaning that it's like a scale, and you can be high on one level and low on the other. And in this case, you can be high on internal locus of control and low on external locus of control. And you can, on the other hand, be high on external locus of control and low on internal locus of control. So we find ourselves on that continuum, and individuals, even specific to their lives, whether it is family or academic or work, whichever it is, they may exhibit one orientation or dimension of locus of control in one area and another in another area. But dominantly, you will be able to find that this person is an internal or an external, generally because of how they explain events in their life and the actions they take in that regard. So back to the internals. One thing is that those that are high on internal locus of control, they are likely to have higher self-efficacy, meaning that they believe more in their abilities. They believe that they have the capacity to achieve certain goals and control certain events or conditions around them. So if it's a student that is high on internal locus of control, they believe they are intelligent. They believe that whatever subject it is, so long as they learn, they will do well. So it is not dependent on how difficult the subject is or which teacher is teaching it. They believe that the outcomes of their academic pursuit is dependent on their abilities and their actions and their efforts as a student. And that is an indication of someone with a high internal locus of control. Now, external locus of control, individuals on this level are those that believe that external factors, including external people, external forces in the spiritual dimension, social dimension, are to hold when it comes to the outcomes of their life. So largely, significantly, they believe that external factors determine the outcomes of their life rather than they themselves, their abilities and their efforts. And usually they may feel that because of this, because of this orientation, that external factors are largely to hold relating to the conditions and outcomes of their life. They are more likely to feel that they have little control over the circumstances of their life. So if it's a student who has a high external locus of control, largely they believe it is the tutor, it is the difficulty of the exams and other factors, including the probably the weather condition on the day of the exams or something, other factors beyond them which they have little control over, is what will determine their performance, what will determine how well they do as a student. So individuals with a strong or high external locus of control, the externals, may be prone to attributing success or failure to luck, fate, F-A-T-E, or the efforts or actions of other people. And sometimes it may be true, but it may not necessarily be true. However, that is their orientation, believing that it is not their own efforts or abilities that largely or significantly determine the outcomes and conditions of their life. I am poor because my society has not given the necessary resources. That is an external person. An internal will say, I am poor because I have not been able to discover how to make money for myself, and therefore I have to put in more effort. So the internal and the external, their orientation towards failure and success are different. One believes that it is my own efforts and my personal responsibility to determine the conditions of my life, and another believes that it is not really my efforts that determine the outcomes of my life. And externals, individuals with strong or high external locus of control, are more likely to experience something I discussed in a previous video attached up there, the learned helplessness. They are more likely to experience that, and they are more likely to have lower levels of motivation and a tendency to be reactive to situations rather than being proactive, as the internals do, because the internals believe in their own abilities and they believe that they can get things to work. So we can see that For individuals that are internals, that are high on internal locus of control, when they face challenges or setbacks in life, they are likely to take action and take personal responsibility to ensure that the challenges they are going through, they work it out. They are able to think out solutions. If they need to seek help, they do so, because they believe that they need to take their destiny into their own hands. Literally, they believe that they have the ability to find the solutions and to be able to cope with the challenges. And once they get through failure a number of times, they are able to still keep pushing. They are more resilient because they believe in their personal abilities, and they believe that they have largely, significantly control over the circumstances and conditions or outcomes of their life. And so instead of feeling helpless, learning that they cannot do anything about their situations because they failed a number of times, an individual who is very high on internal locus of control will take steps, seek the support. They'll maintain this positive mindset because remember, as we said, they have high self-efficacy. They believe in their own abilities despite some attempts that may have been resulted in failure, and they believe that they will overcome the obstacles. So in school, a student who is very high on internal locus of control believes in their own abilities. They will learn, they will keep pushing, and that personal internal motivation, even when they fail in some tests, doesn't deter them from still pursuing the goal of doing well in the final exam. They are internals. They believe that it is not the teacher. Yes, the teacher may have an influence in some way. The difficulty level of the exams, the time they set it, and all those factors, external factors, have an influence. It's not as though the internal believes external factors have no role to play. But what they believe is that I have a significant control over the outcome, despite the external forces that may exist. The external, on the other hand, when they face challenges or stressful situations, they believe that external factors determine their ability to cope, including their parents, whether their parents are there for them, their friends are there for them, or they just believe that something else, somebody else will be the one to determine whether I'm able to go through this situation. So if they fail a number of times, they may, as we discussed in the learned helplessness lesson, they may then withdraw, they may then relent because they don't believe that they have what it takes to get over the hurdle. So instead of sitting and trying to work out solutions and all that, they may catastrophize. What we call catastrophizing. It's like you begin to have this mindset or this cognitive orientation that things will always end up badly and things will not work out. Whatever effort I put in, it will not work out. So you catastrophize. You always predict a negative outcome for yourself, and that will lead to more stress, and that will lead to more problems. So although individuals can be on this continuum of internal locus of control and external locus of control, whether high on one end and low on the other, or have a balance in both when it comes to specific areas of their lives, it is better, or it is more advisable to work on improving or enhancing your internal locus of control. And remember, once again, this does not mean that the internals don't believe other factors beyond them influence outcomes of their life. They do, but they believe that significantly, largely, I am the one that determines the outcome, the conditions of my life, including whether I'm happy or sad, whether I'm able to get over situations or not. Others and other factors have an influence, but for a large percentage, I am the one who calls the shots. So in order to enhance your internal locus of control, probably if you are so high on the external, number one thing you may want to do is to work on your personal beliefs about self-control and your self-efficacy, your personal abilities. Usually individuals that have low internal locus of control, it is probably because you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe you have the abilities or you have what it takes to get things done or things working out right. So you may want to talk to someone, more especially talk to a professional, a counselor, a mental health professional, a psychologist, and you will be helped through a process of reorientation, what we call cognitive restructuring, to restructure your thoughts about personal control and your belief in your own abilities and responsibility for your life. And that can help you. You may want to relook at your own life, areas that you've been able to do well in, and reinforce the fact that it was your effort that you put in and you did well in that particular exams. Yes, the teacher may have played a role, factors may have come in and all that, but the fact that you didn't do well in that particular paper, you didn't do well in that particular work-related task, is probably because you didn't put in the needed resources or you didn't get the requisite knowledge that could have helped you. So it is not because you don't have the ability or you cannot get the things done right. It is because there may be something that you may be lacking that you can work on, and then next time you'll be able to do better. So you want to reflect, this self-reflection on your personal abilities, your belief about how much control you have, and you would realize that there are things that you have control over. And once you have things that you have control over, it begins to extend to other areas of your life that you may feel you don't have control over. As I said, it can be better done if you talk to someone else and they guide you through that process of self-discovery, more especially a professional, a psychologist, a counselor, or someone that has what it takes to help you to realize how much control you have in various aspects of your life. The second thing is to acknowledge and take responsibility for your successes and failures. So every success I chalk, it is because I did the right thing. Yes, there are other factors that will come in, but if I didn't take the right decision and the right steps, I wouldn't have gotten the outcome. And the same way, if I fail in an exam, I fail in a particular thing, I have a broken relationship, my home is not running well, I take personal responsibility for the fact that I don't have a peaceful home, and my actions and inactions may be contributing to that, and I can correct that. If I talk to my children, I get them together. If I talk to my partner, if at work I begin to greet my colleagues in a more lively way and all that, I'll be able to work on that issue of problems I have when it comes to my interpersonal relationships. So take personal responsibility for your actions, your decisions, and their consequences, and acknowledge whatever outcomes there are as a result of your own actions, decisions, and consequences. And this is something you have to begin to do consciously. And over time, you would realize that you will gain more control over how certain outcomes or conditions of your life reflect. And the last one I'll talk about is for you to enhance your belief in your own abilities by acquiring new skills and knowledge. Knowledge, we say, is power. Sometimes you feel you have no control over circumstances because you are ignorant. In your workplace, if you gain more skills in communication on that particular job role that you have, you learn more, go online, talk to experts, attend seminars. If you get more knowledge, it will improve or enhance your self-efficacy, and that can help you to move towards a more stronger internal locus of control. So these are three key things I believe if you do, it can move you towards a higher internal locus of control to them. So you want to check, and there are a number of tests that you can take. I have linked a few in the description. you can take them, or you just reflect on your life and see whether or not the questions we asked from the beginning you would answer in an external locus of control position or an internal locus of control position. Thank you so much for joining today's lesson. I hope you have found it useful. I hope to see you in the next mental health lesson on the channel. Once again, please subscribe to the channel, like this video if you found it useful, and it will help to push it to other people on the platform. Thank you and take care. Bye bye.